Have you ever felt like something big was about to happen in your life? Like God was trying to tell you something important, but you just couldn't figure out what it was? Well, you're not alone. Many people around the world are starting to notice strange things happening, things that might be signs from Jesus himself. Today, I'm going to share with you 5 clear signs that Jesus might be warning you about something. But here's the thing, there's one sign that's so powerful, so clear, that when you understand it, everything else will make perfect sense. I'll save this most important sign for the very end. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Let me start by telling you about Sarah from Texas. She was just like any other person, going about her daily life. But then strange things started happening. First, she kept seeing the same numbers everywhere on clocks, license plates, even on her grocery receipts. Then she started having the same dream over and over again, a dream about a door that she needed to walk through, but she was too scared to do it. Sarah didn't know it yet, but Jesus was trying to warn her about a big change coming to her life. A change that would either make her stronger or break her down completely. But how could she know? How can any of us know when Jesus is trying to get our attention? The truth is, Jesus has been warning people for thousands of years. He warned his disciples about what was coming. He warned entire cities about their future. And today, he's still warning people like you and me. The question is, are we listening? Now, before I tell you the first sign, I need you to understand something. These signs aren't meant to scare you. They're meant to help you. Think of them like a caring friend who sees danger ahead and wants to keep you safe. Jesus loves you so much that he won't let you walk into trouble without trying to warn you first. But here is what is really amazing, and this is something I discovered after years of studying these signs. There is a pattern to how Jesus warns people. And once you know this pattern, you'll never miss his warnings again. In fact, by the end of this article, you'll know exactly what to look for. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you about the first sign. The first sign that Jesus is warning you is when you start feeling restless in your spirit. You know that feeling when you just can't sit still? When nothing seems to make you happy anymore? When the things that used to bring you joy now feel empty and meaningless? This isn't just a bad day or a rough week. This is your spirit trying to tell you that something needs to change. I remember talking to a man named David who told me his story. He had a good job, a nice house, and what looked like a perfect life. But for months, he felt like something was wrong. He couldn't sleep well. He felt anxious all the time. Nothing made him happy anymore. He thought maybe he was getting sick or stressed from work. Then one day, David realized what was happening. He had been ignoring God for years. He had been making choices that looked good on the outside but were hurting his soul on the inside. That restless feeling was Jesus trying to get his attention. It was a warning that if he kept going down the same path, things were going to get much worse. David's story reminds me of what Jesus said in the Bible. Come to me, all you who are tired and carrying heavy loads, and I will give you rest. When we feel that deep restlessness, it's often because we've been trying to carry our burdens alone. Jesus is warning us that we need his help. But here is something interesting, and this connects to that special sign I'll tell you about later. The restlessness always comes before the real warning. It's like the first drop of rain before a storm. Most people ignore it, but those who pay attention can prepare for what's coming. The second sign that Jesus is warning you is when you keep having the same thoughts or dreams. Has this ever happened to you? You wake up thinking about something specific, and then throughout the day, that same thought keeps coming back. Or maybe you have the same dream several nights in a row. This isn't just your imagination playing tricks on you. God has always used dreams and repeated thoughts to speak to his people. In the Bible, he warned Pharaoh about 7 years of plenty followed by 7 years of famine through dreams. He warned Joseph to take Mary and baby Jesus to safety through a dream. Let me tell you about Maria from California. For weeks, she kept having the same dream about a flood. In her dream, she was standing in her house and water was rising all around her. She would always wake up just as the water reached her chest. Maria lived in a desert area where floods never happened, so she thought the dreams were just random. But then Maria started thinking about her life differently. She realized that the flood in her dreams wasn't about water. It was about all the problems that were building up around her. She had debts she couldn't pay. Her marriage was falling apart. Her teenage son was getting into trouble. All these problems were like rising water, and if she didn't do something soon, they would drown her. Maria's dreams were Jesus warning her that she needed to take action. She needed to face her problems instead of ignoring them. And you know what? When she finally listened to the warning and started making changes, the dreams stopped. Now you might be wondering, how do you know if your repeated thoughts or dreams are from Jesus? Here's a simple test. Ask yourself, is this thought or dream pushing me towards something good and right? Is it making me want to be a better person? Is it encouraging me to trust God more? If the answer is yes, then it's likely a warning from Jesus. But if the thoughts are making you afraid, angry, or want to do something wrong, then they're not from Jesus. Remember, Jesus said, "I have come that they may have life and have it more abundantly." His warnings always lead to life and hope, never to fear and destruction. Speaking of fear and hope, this brings me to something crucial about that final sign I mentioned earlier. See, all of these signs work together in a special way, and when you understand how they connect, you'll see why that last sign is so powerful. But I'm not ready to reveal it yet. Let me tell you about the third sign first. The third sign that Jesus is warning you is when you keep running into the same message everywhere. Maybe you hear the same Bible verse 3 times in one week. Maybe different people keep telling you the same thing. Maybe you see the same quote or saying in different places. This happened to my friend Robert. For 2 weeks straight, everywhere he went, he heard about forgiveness. His pastor preached about it on Sunday. His coworker mentioned it during lunch on Monday. He heard a song about it on the radio on Tuesday. Even his young daughter asked him about forgiveness during their bedtime story on Wednesday. At first, Robert thought it was just a coincidence, but by the end of the second week, he couldn't ignore it anymore. Robert had been holding a grudge against his brother for 3 years. They hadn't spoken since a big fight about their fathers. Will, deep down, Robert knew he needed to forgive his brother and try to rebuild their relationship. The repeated message about forgiveness was Jesus warning Robert that his anger was hurting him more than it was hurting his brother. It was eating away at his heart and affecting his other relationships too. Robert finally called his brother and they worked things out. Today, they're closer than they've ever been when Jesus wants to get our attention with a specific message. He's very good at making sure we hear it. He'll use preachers, friends, strangers, books, songs, even billboards if he has to. The key is to pay attention when you start seeing patterns. But here is what is really amazing, and this is another clue about that final sign. Jesus doesn't just give us random warnings. Every warning has a purpose. Every repeated message is meant to help us in a specific way. And when you understand the bigger picture of why Jesus warns us, everything becomes so much clearer. The fourth sign that Jesus is warning you is when doors start closing in your life. Now, this might sound backwards. We usually think of God opening doors, not closing them, but sometimes Jesus closes doors to protect us from walking into danger. Think about it this way. If you were about to walk into a room full of fire, wouldn't you want someone to slam the door shut and keep you out? That's what Jesus does sometimes. He closes doors that look good to us, but would actually harm us in the long run. I know a woman named Jennifer who applied for what seemed like her dream job. She had all the right qualifications. She did great in the interviews. Everyone told her she was perfect for the position. But then, at the last minute, they gave the job to someone else. Jennifer was heartbroken. 6 months later, Jennifer found out that the company was involved in illegal activities. The person who got the job Jennifer wanted was now facing criminal charges. The door that seemed to close on Jennifer's dreams actually saved her from a nightmare. Sometimes Jesus closes doors on relationships too. Maybe someone you liked suddenly stops talking to you. Maybe a friendship ends for no clear reason. Maybe a romantic relationship falls apart just when you thought it was getting serious. These closed doors can hurt, but they might be protecting you from something worse. The Bible says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight." Sometimes making our paths straight means closing off the crooked paths we might have taken. But here is something important to remember, and this connects to that big revelation I am saving for the end. When Jesus closes one door, He always has a better door waiting for us. The key is learning to trust His timing and His plan, even when we can't see it yet. Jennifer's story has a beautiful ending. 3 months after missing out on that dream job, she was offered an even better position at a company with amazing values. She loved her new job and made lifelong friends there. Looking back, she can see that Jesus was protecting her all along. Now, you might be thinking, how do I know if a closed door is from Jesus or just bad luck? Here's how you can tell. When Jesus closes a door, there's usually a sense of peace that comes with it. Even if you're disappointed, you might feel sad about missing out, but deep down, you know everything will work out okay. But when a door closes because of our own mistakes or because we ignored God's guidance, we usually feel regret and anxiety. We know we should have done things differently. The closed door feels like punishment instead of protection. This brings me to something really important. All of these signs, the restlessness, the repeated messages, the closed doors, they're all connected. They're all part of how Jesus communicates with us, and they all point to that final, most important sign that I'm going to share with you soon. But first, let me tell you about the fifth sign that Jesus is warning you. This one might surprise you because it's actually a positive thing. The fifth sign is when you suddenly feel a strong pull toward something good. Maybe you wake up one morning with a powerful urge to call an old friend. Maybe you feel drawn to volunteer at a local charity. Maybe you have an overwhelming desire to read the Bible or pray more. Maybe you feel called to change careers or move to a new city. This happened to a man named Carlos who lived in New York. For weeks, he couldn't stop thinking about his hometown in Mexico. He had lived in New York for 15 years and had a successful business there. But suddenly, he felt this strong pull to go back home. Carlos thought he was just being homesick, but the feeling kept getting stronger. Finally, he decided to visit his family for a few weeks. When he got there, he discovered that his elderly father was having serious health problems, but had been hiding it from the family because he didn't want to worry anyone. Carlos was able to help his father get the medical care he needed. He also discovered that his old town was struggling economically and could really use someone with his business skills to help create jobs. Carlos ended up moving back home permanently. He was able to spend precious time with his father before he passed away, and he helped revitalize his hometown's economy. That strong pull Carlos felt was Jesus warning him that his family needed him. It was a call to be where God wanted him to be at exactly the right time. Sometimes these positive pulls feel scary because they ask us to step out of our comfort zones. Maybe you feel called to forgive someone who hurt you deeply. Maybe you feel drawn to give more money to charity than you think you can afford. Maybe you feel called to speak up about something important, even though it might make you unpopular. These positive warnings from Jesus often ask us to do things that seem risky or difficult. But here's the truth: when Jesus calls us to do something, he always provides the strength and resources we need to do it. The key is learning to trust that pull and take the first step in faith. Now, I know what you might be thinking. How do you know if a positive feeling is really from Jesus or just your own desires? Here is the test. Does this pull make you want to love God more and love other people more? Does it align with what the Bible teaches about how we should live? Does it require you to trust God instead of trusting only in yourself? If the answer to these questions is yes, then that pull is likely from Jesus. He's warning you that there's something important he wants you to do, and the time to do it is now. But if the pull is mainly about making you feel good, getting you more money or power, or doesn't require any faith or sacrifice, then it might just be your own wishful thinking. Jesus' calls usually involve some form of dying to ourselves so that we can truly live. This brings me to something amazing. All 5 of these signs, the restlessness, the repeated messages, the closed doors, and the positive pulls, they often happen together. When Jesus is trying to warn you about something really important, you might experience several of these signs at the same time. Remember Sarah from Texas, who I mentioned at the beginning? She experienced all 5 signs before making the biggest decision of her life. She felt restless in her spirit. She kept having dreams about that door. She kept hearing messages about courage and faith. Some opportunities closed unexpectedly, and she felt a strong pull to make a major change. Sarah finally realized that Jesus was warning her to leave her corporate job and start a nonprofit organization to help homeless families. It was scary, and it meant giving up her financial security, but she took the leap of faith. Today, her organization has helped hundreds of families find homes and hope. Now, you've been very patient, and I promised you that I would share the most important sign at the end. This is the sign that makes all the other signs make sense. This is the sign that once you understand it, will change how you see everything that happens in your life. Are you ready? Here it is. The most important sign that Jesus is warning you is when you start noticing all of these other signs. Let me say that again. The biggest warning sign is when you become aware that God is trying to communicate with you. You see, most people go through life completely unaware of how God is speaking to them. They ignore the restlessness, they dismiss the repeated messages as coincidences, they see closed doors as just bad luck, they resist positive pulls as silly impulses. But when Jesus really wants to get your attention, when he has something crucial to tell you, he starts opening your spiritual eyes. He makes you more sensitive to his voice. He helps you recognize his patterns of communication. Think about it. Why are you reading this article right now? What brought you here? Was it curiosity? Was it because you've been feeling like something important is happening in your life? Was it because you've been experiencing some of these signs yourself? The fact that you're here, reading about these warning signs, might itself be a warning from Jesus. He might be preparing you for something. He might be trying to get your attention about an area of your life that needs to change. Or he might be calling you to step into something new and exciting. Here's what I've learned after years of studying how God speaks to people. When Jesus starts opening your eyes to see his warnings, it means he's about to do something significant in your life. It means you're entering a season where your choices matter more than usual. It means he loves you too much to let you stumble around in darkness. But here's the key: once you start seeing these signs, you have a responsibility to respond to them. You can't just ignore them and hope they'll go away. Jesus is warning you because he wants to help you, but you have to choose to accept his help. Remember, Jesus said, "Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened to you." When you start noticing his warning signs, it's time to ask him what he wants you to know. It's time to seek his guidance for your life. It's time to knock on the door of deeper relationship with him. So what should you do if you've been experiencing these warning signs? First, don't panic. Jesus' warnings are always motivated by love, not by a desire to scare you. He's like a good shepherd who sees wolves coming and warns his sheep so they can find safety. Second, start paying closer attention to what God might be saying to you. Set aside some quiet time each day to pray and listen. Read the Bible with fresh eyes, looking for messages that apply to your current situation. Talk to other believers who can help you discern God's voice. Third, be ready to act on what God shows you. Sometimes His warnings require us to make difficult changes. Sometimes they ask us to trust Him in new ways. Sometimes they challenge us to step out of our comfort zones. But remember, God never asks us to do anything without also providing the strength and resources we need. Let me tell you about one more person. His name was Peter, and you might know him from the Bible. Jesus warned Peter that he would deny knowing him 3 times before the rooster crowed. Peter couldn't believe it. He was sure he would never abandon Jesus, no matter what happened. But Jesus' warning came true exactly as he said it would. When Jesus was arrested, Peter was so scared that he lied 3 times and said he didn't even know Jesus. When the rooster crowed, Peter remembered Jesus' warning, and he wept bitterly. But here's the beautiful part of the story. Jesus didn't warn Peter to make him feel bad, or to punish him. He warned Peter to prepare him for what was coming and to help him understand that failure isn't the end of the story. After Jesus rose from the dead, he specifically sought out Peter and restored their relationship. He even gave Peter a leadership role in the early church. Jesus' warning to Peter was ultimately about redemption and hope, not condemnation and despair, and that's true of his warnings to us too. Even when he warns us about consequences of our choices, even when he shows us our weaknesses and failures, it's because he has a plan to help us and restore us. So if Jesus is warning you about something in your life right now, remember that he's doing it because he loves you. He sees your potential, he knows your future, and he wants to help you become everything he created you to be. Maybe he's warning you about a relationship that isn't good for you. Maybe he's warning you about financial decisions that could hurt your family. Maybe he's warning you about pride or anger or fear that's growing in your heart. Maybe he's warning you that time is running out to make peace with someone you've hurt. Or maybe he's warning you about something wonderful that's coming. Maybe he's preparing you for a new opportunity, a new relationship, or a new season of blessing. Maybe he's warning you to get ready for answered prayers that you've been waiting for. Whatever it is, the fact that you can see his warning signs means you are in a position to cooperate with his plans instead of fighting against them. You can choose to trust him instead of relying only on your own understanding. You can choose to walk through the doors he opens instead of banging on the doors he's closed. Here's my challenge to you. For the next week, pay close attention to what's happening in your life. Notice if you feel that spiritual restlessness, watch for repeated messages or themes. Look for doors that are opening or closing. Be aware of positive pulls toward good things. And most importantly, ask Jesus to help you understand what he might be trying to tell you. Don't be surprised if things become clearer once you start actively looking and listening. God loves to reveal himself to people who are genuinely seeking him. He promises that those who seek him with their whole heart will find him. And remember, you're not alone in this. Jesus has been warning and guiding people for thousands of years. He guided Abraham to a new land. He warned Noah about the flood and showed him how to build an ark. He warned the wise men not to go back to King Herod. He warned Paul about the dangers he would face as he spread the gospel. In every case, God's warnings were expressions of his love and care. They were opportunities for people to align their lives with his perfect will. They were invitations to participate in something bigger and more meaningful than anything they could accomplish on their own. That same God who warned and guided all those people throughout history is the same God who wants to warn and guide you today. He hasn't changed. His love for you hasn't diminished. His desire to bless your life and use you for good purposes is just as strong now as it ever was. The question isn't whether God is speaking to you. The question is whether you're listening. The question isn't whether Jesus wants to warn you about important things in your life. The question is whether you are willing to pay attention and respond to his warnings with faith and obedience. So here's my final thought for you. If you've been experiencing any of these warning signs, if you feel like Jesus has been trying to get your attention about something, don't wait any longer to respond. Don't put off that important conversation. Don't delay making that difficult decision. Don't ignore that pull towards something good and right. Jesus' timing is always perfect. When he warns you about something, it's because the time to act is now. When he opens your eyes to see his signs, it's because he has something important to accomplish through your life, and he needs your cooperation to do it. Remember, Jesus said, "Today, if you hear his voice, do not harden your hearts." Today is the day to listen. Today is the day to respond. Today is the day to trust that the one who loves you most will guide you into all truth and lead you in paths of righteousness. The signs are there, the warnings are real. The question is, what will you do with them? Will you ignore them and hope everything works out okay? Or will you embrace them as expressions of God's love and guidance for your life? The choice is yours, but remember, Jesus is warning you, because he has something better in mind for you than what you can see right now. Trust him, follow his guidance, pay attention to his signs, and get ready for the amazing things he wants to do in and through your life. Your story is still being written, the best chapters may still be ahead. And Jesus, who knows the end from the beginning, is trying to help you write those chapters in a way that will bring glory to God and joy to your heart. Listen to his warnings. They're the voice of love calling you home. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 5 warning signs have you experienced in your own life? Was it the restless feeling in your spirit, the repeated dreams or messages? Or maybe those closed doors that seemed bad at the time? Drop a comment below and share your story. Your experience might help someone else who's going through the same thing right now. If this video helped you understand how Jesus communicates with us, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content about faith and spiritual growth. And don't forget to click on that video appearing on your screen right now. It is going to show you even more ways God speaks to his people every single day.